Hello race fans, Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series here at beautiful Lime Rock Park. Joining me in the commentary box today is our very own elite Texan, Austin Knight, and bringing you these wonderful images and graphics is Dennis Branch. Now, this wonderful Lime Rock circuit has some little quirks, some little twists and turns, so thanks to our sponsors Ricmotech, here is a handy track guide to tell you all about this wonderful facility.
Welcome, everyone, to Lime Rock Park, located here in beautiful Lakeville, Connecticut. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this short but very quick 1.5-mile road course. Designed by John Fitch, Lime Rock was constructed all the way back in 1956, and it is the third oldest road course in America today. The course is unique, though, as there are no grandstands here for the fans. They all sit and hang out on the hillsides to enjoy the racing. The course has seen minimal changes over the years and has been raced by legends like Sam Posey and Paul Newman. The course still hosts major events to this day and remains one of the greatest road courses in the U.S. Well, let's begin our track guide around this short but fast-flowing road course as we head up the front straightaway. Sam Posey Straight, as it's named. We'll cross the stripe here and head towards turn 1, which is a very fast entry and a double right-hander. Come right down into 1 here. We're going to track out just a little bit to set up that entry for 2. Come right back to the apex. And then right back on the throttles. We come off that corner and swing out wide here for the only left-hander here at the course, turn 3. Very tight wrapping corner. Then we'll come into 4, which is pretty much wide open throughout this turn and up onto what's known as No Name Straight, the backstretch here. And then we're going to head down into the new turn 5 here. This is the uphill chicane. To the right, to the left, and back to the right again, up the hill as we head out of 5 and then towards West Bend, known as turn 6 here. Right back to throttle, up into 4th gear, down underneath the walkway, into this fast drop-off into the final corner of turn 7, and then up onto the final straightaway here. Sam Posey Straight once again as we head down the straightaway. And that is your track guide as we cross the start-finish line for.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park. So I hope you enjoyed that little handy track guide video. Thanks to our sponsors Ricmotech. Our drivers are just heading out onto the circuit for a 15-minute solo qualifying session where they have the whole of the beautiful Lime Rock Park circuit to themselves to set their qualifying times. So, introduce my my commentary box buddy, Austin Knight. Austin, it's Ricmotech Knight, and we're back with the Classic Sprint Series here at Lime Rock Park, a circuit where I believe you got your pro race license. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, my professional debut into the world and legally labeled as a professional was here at Lime Rock Park in a Skip Barber car. They allowed me to do that, and in a F2000 car. Had to get both in there, so mostly single-seater experience here for me, but it was very nervous on that day because I've seen Lime Rock Park and they're just like, okay, all you have to know, it's hilly, there's only one left turn right. And they gave me a little bit walk down, but when I first got on track, I took it very slow. Then I saw that chicane and I immediately just panicked. And where you see these guys braked, imagine somebody braking 20 feet after where you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, today we have pretty much our most production-focused series in the Ricmotech paddock. We have 3 series here. We have this one, the Classic Sprint Series, the GT Challenge, and of course the Sports Car Series as well. But the Classic Sprint Series, which we're focusing on tonight, has 2 classes. We have the classes you can see on screen here, with Travis Schwenke in the Mazda MX-5, or Miata if you wish. It's often given 2 names depending on where you are in the world. And we have this, some proper Detroit muscle, a Ford Mustang, and that makes me very happy indeed. I do love myself some Detroit muscle, and at the moment Aeronom winner of the last 7 championships in this car, outputting his lap times in, and he's wasting no time to get to the top of the timesheets. Austin, what is it that makes Aeronom so special in this car? He just seems to just click with it.
If I knew what would happen, I would have bottled it up and sold it by now, because this guy is completely another level. Some people just have cars that they click with, they gel with so well. It's just that they're linked with that car, and nobody really can unlink it. There's just that they were made for this car. Aeronom just gels with the Mustang so well, better than everybody else. But it's not that he's only clicking that one car. He's clicking almost every car that it gets in, but just for some reason, that Mustang, he's unbeatable in there. Just like Jordan Taylor in that C8R.
Absolutely, that is a good reference just to describe how dominant and how special he is in that car. I like that, Austin. I like that. So let's have just a quick browse through the championship standings, because in all the classes, it's very, very close indeed in this championship. So first of all, we'll start with the GS Pro class, which is our Ford Mustangs. At the moment, well, it's our series organizer, Kevin Ford, who's leading by just 4 points from the Estonian Aeronom. Jeff Jacobs is a little bit further back on 161 points, but tell you what, watch for the form man, Cameron Martineau in the 31 car. He's had a couple of brilliant weeks here in the Ricmotech paddock. Had a great run in a Ferrari GT3 last time out at Mid-Ohio, and also in a touring car at the Indianapolis Road Course as well. So he's having a very strong season so far. If we have a look at the ST Pro class, you'll see that John Allen, the 3-time champion in that class, leading by just 5 points from the ever steady, ever consistent Canadian Mike Dam. Not too far behind is Travis Schwenke on 172, and Elvis Rankin is on 151. Now, Austin, I want to talk about Elvis Rankin. We missed him last week because he was off driving some Lucas Oil Formula cars, and Elvis's father Randy, a big shout out to him, he sent me a screenshot of a timing screen, and who was at the top? An E. Rankin. Brilliant stuff.
So we look at our ST Open category right now. Greg Mack leads that championship ahead of Mike Taylor, followed by Greg Brockway, Brendan Huron, Derek Hall, and Michael Key, Mitchell Peak, Edgar Santinelli, Breveris in 9th, followed by Casey Duncan, Nicholas Parchino, Kevin Ladd, and Mike Cummings in 13th.
So there you go then. That is how the championship standings looks as it is. And next time out, we will be off to Phillip Island in Australia in a couple of weeks' time. I'm incredibly excited about that. That is certainly my favourite circuit for motorcycle racing anywhere in the world, and I'm sure it'll be equally fun for these cars. The moment we're 6 minutes into this qualifying session, let's get Kevin Ford over the line. Does he improve? No, he does not. Oh, he does. Just waiting for just a little bit of delay in the time screen there. 58.917 for Kevin. Jeff Jacobs goes over the line, and I'll tell you what, I'm liking this Jeff Jacobs paint scheme. What is that on it? There's a lot going on that paint scheme, Austin, but it's I like it, whatever it is.
It looks like a gator.
Yeah. Is he from Florida?
Let's see. Jeff Jacobs, where are you from? I don't know.
Maybe we'll hopefully he gets on the podium and we can ask him
yes.
as well. So at the moment you see in the MX-5, the Miata class, well, Elvis Rankin top of the timesheets in that class in 1 minute .484. So will anyone break the 60-second barrier in that class? Of course, this is such a tight and twisty circuit, Austin. I feel like the Miata is just perfectly fitted to this track.
Yeah, the Miata is extremely well fitted for this track. A lot of people know this track from the Mazda Rookie Series that iRacing has. Every road course racer start and Lime Rock Park usually has around 2 dates in there, and I believe they now have 2 to 3 dates in there now with Lime Rock Park having those 3 wonderful layouts here. You got the classic one, you got the Grand Prix layout that we're in, and you have my favorite, the chicanes layout, which has that little chicane at the end of the back straight for a little extra passing zone and more braking zones, making it a little bit more fun and challenging.
I personally like the one with the pretty much the rallycross jump, which is basically bypasses the chicane, turns around to the right, and then goes over a blind crest. And if the car has enough power and the right aerodynamics, you will get liftoff, which is incredibly exciting. Can you imagine that? Back in the 1980s and in 1989, Hans Stuck won in the IMSA GTO class in the fire-breathing Audi 90 Quattro. In an era in IMSA where the cars were absolutely crazy, huge turbocharged horsepower in the GTP class, but also in the GTO class as well, which was so exciting to watch. And of course, speaking of IMSA, of course, Lime Rock's a track which we've been to quite a lot in recent memory in IMSA, but this weekend we go to the Charlotte Roval after many, many years away, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, Charlotte Roval is going to be a massive peak of interest race. I remember when NASCAR first announced that thing, and I'm like, I really want to see other series tackle that more than NASCAR Cups, but every series that race there always has a banger of a race. It's just an interesting circuit to see, and it just works. But I really hope they do the long layout this time for IMSA.
Well, I'm sure. Hopefully they will. Use the same layout that the NASCAR guys do.
Well, the long layout has 2 more hairpins.
Oh, I see. Oh, my apologies. I didn't realize that. So is the NASCAR is the shorter layout then? I'm guessing then.
NASCAR has that turn into the infield, and then it's a full reverse oval, and then turn back out. The long layout is the full reverse oval, and then they have a hairpin, and then a slower hairpin, and then a slower hairpin back onto the oval. And that layout just seems extremely fun to watch a massive field go through. A lot of overtaking opportunities in that layout.
I see. Well, I'm thinking it's going to be quite like it's going to be quite similar to Daytona, with the the infield section and the oval as well. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. I'm really looking forward to it. So as we pass over the 10-minute mark, our drivers just setting the last of their lap times. And of course, here at Lime Rock Park, the overtaking opportunities you mentioned, Austin, are really, really difficult. The main one I always think is going into turn 1, into Big Bend, as it's known, turn 1 and 2. That's one where you can kind of put a block pass in at the end of the front straight. But also that chicane, getting a move done there cleanly is a really, really tricky one, isn't it? But it is there. The opportunity does exist, but it just shows you how important
it's so dangerous.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And of course, that means that of course these laps here are so vital. Of course, only 60 minutes race rather than our usual 75.
Yeah, and as we were looking back at Kevin Ford, our current Mustang Championship leader, trying to defend from the closing in Aeronom, who's sitting on provisional pole. Car below him, Jeff Jacobs in the Gator from Pennsylvania. That I just did some digging, found out that he's actually from Pennsylvania right now.
Now you're going to have to help me here, Austin, with my geography. Do they have gators in Pennsylvania?
If you go to a zoo.
I suppose that counts. So it's his maybe that's yes. So maybe that's his paint scheme. It's a Pennsylvanian zoo in captivity crocodile. Or alligator, I should say.
Crocs are very cool. Like, we have them in Texas, but only in certain parts of Texas. Then again, every ecosystem is in Texas. We're just that massive.
Yeah, that's true. That was, I tell you what, well, for our regular viewers for the Ricmotech paddock, you'll remember last time out, Austin and I were planning a European road trip to some great racing here in Europe. And Austin, you sent me a picture of the state of Texas overlaid over Europe, and they're about the same size.
Yeah, the entire continent of Europe is Texas. So I've
That
I've
is
done
scary.
I've done the road trip from Italy all the way up to the northern part of Germany, basically, and it's just nutty to see the size comparison. So what seems like a massive day-long drive compared to just like I would have crossed 3 countries in that drive, but I still can't leave Texas in a day. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Well, imagine what it's like here in Scotland. If you drive 20 minutes, there's a completely different accent to enjoy. There
I
is a joke about
I
that,
can
which
deal with,
I
I can
won't.
deal with that. I can deal with that.
Yeah,
I'm
best driving roads in the world here. I tell
all
you
right.
what, there are two, not one but two Miatas parked on my street. Actually, there's one quite nice, one of the hardtop ones, the new ones, which is quite nice as well. And yeah, if you don't get the chance to get the soft top down very often here, but you get good roads. Of course, these little Miatas they're just wonderful bits of kit. You know, only less than 900 kilos in weight, 2 litre, naturally aspirated. Not an awful lot of power, but of course you don't need a lot of power when you've got such light weight.
Yeah, when you have an extremely lightweight car, a car that handles so well, you don't really need a lot of power to get around going. It's just like a go-kart. 39 horsepower in a cart that you could basically pick up with one hand if you're really trying. Um, but underpowered cars with just enough power to spin up the wheels if you aren't careful are so fun to drive, and that's what has made the Miata platform so popular around the world.
And of course, the great thing about the lightweight is with a kind of road based car like this is you don't. I guess if you're taking one of these things racing in the real world, you're not going to wear out brakes so quick. The tires aren't going to get worn out so much, and yeah, they. I guess that's why they're so popular for racing is because they're relatively easy
And
to maintain.
and
And
it's the most sold car for sports use. So there's a lot of parts available out there on the market in case you need some brakes, you need a new hood, you need a new roll bar because you stupidly flipped one because you weren't thinking. You got rear-ended. There's a bump before your mirror falls off. Not sure if that happens as much as it does here on iRacing, but it's there.
oh, I think it would with the closeness of the racing as well. So, fittingly, our drivers are just gathering up behind the Ford Mustang pace car after qualifying. So let's see how they line up for the 60-minute race here in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. On pole position is Aeronom alongside the form man Cameron Martineau in second. On row 2 will be Kevin Ford, championship leader, alongside the Gator, Jeff Jacobs. Row 3 will be Tyler Shiflett and Tony Kernan, followed by Shad Curran and Robert Brist. Clint Vigas and Elvis Rankin will start from the 5th row, with Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke right behind. Row 7 will be Jacob Beasley and Mitchell Peake. Chris Thorman and David Payton will start on the 8th row, followed by Brennan Haran and Greg Mack, Jordy Fike, Edgar Sancinelli, Greg Brockway, Mike Taylor, Derek Holland, and Patrick Prevenis. And finally, we'll line up Eric Clister, Casey Duncan, and Nicolas Parsenot. So, thankfully, a nice short pace lap here at Lime Rock Park, such as the close confines of this particular circuit. A track which opened back in 1957. It was the pioneer behind Lime Rock Park was a gentleman called Jim Vale, and whose father actually owned the land on which the circuit was eventually built. And the track is still silent on Sundays as not to disturb the local church. But interestingly, Austin, Jim, when he was designing the circuit, rather than designing it himself with a couple of crayons and a piece of paper, he enlisted the help of the aeronautical lab at the local Cornell University. So there was a lot of science went into this track when it was built, well, over 60 years ago.
Yeah, you'd be surprised compared to some of the great American circuits. I know VIR was built by two guys getting out a dozer, just driving around the field for a couple bit, and they got a circuit out of there. Lime Rock Park, science and everything, and if I told you how two circuits were made, you would think it would be swapped around because Lime Rock Park is so small, but it is the most fun track here in America for a short sports car event. And you're going to be hearing our race control get very active throughout most of this lap because this lap is so short that they have to pace these cars at a different sector. It's going to be like watching two races happen halfway through there. But what's going to get extremely interesting is about 15 laps into this race, I'm predicting, is when we're going to get lots of traffic here. And you're going to start seeing massive Mustangs chasing down small Miatas. And it's going to look ridiculous, but it's going to look fun.
Oh, it certainly will. And of course, these cars, although the Mustang is faster in lap time, well, it makes up all that lap time on the straights. In the corners, well, that little Miata really quick through the corners, so that's going to make the traffic an absolute nightmare to deal. But here is our race marshal.
Pack up and pair up. Prepare for the start.
Giving them the prepare for the start right now. The MX-5 leaders are actually a little bit ahead, but here they go side by side through one of the very famous right-hand corners coming
ST,
down
pack
below
up
the
and pair up,
bridge.
please. Prepare for the start. ST, pack up and pair up.
Miata's getting the pack-up noise right there. The Mustang pace car leading out this Mustang field. Pulls off to the right as the Mustangs round that corner. Aeronom ready for them to go, waiting for that green flag to drop, and let's go racing here for the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Classic Sprint Series presented by Proformer Elite Texas Graphics.
Aeronom making a brilliant launch from the start, going right at the exit of the pit, or entry of the pit lane, and just gassing up that 3,000-pound machine, laying down all that power. But here come the Miatas, and it's Elvis Rankin who's got the launch, got a very good launch from the start. He will lead cleanly into turn 1 and 2. Big bend. Mike Dam there up the inside in the 93 machine. Jacob Beasley just tucking in behind now. Has Mike Dam got by? He has, yes. So he pushes back Travis Schwenke, it looks like. So interesting start from the Miatas, but nice and clean, nice and tidy. What we've come to expect here in the Ricmotech 6 Sprint Series.
Yeah, we got a little bit of an incident. Vigas was turned around in the chicane as our Miatas head into here right now. Here's what happened to Clint Vigas heading into the chicanes, looking down of the GTR Mustang, and he just completely overshot that braking zone and straight into the curb. That really upset that Mustang, and those curbs are really high, especially when you see them in person.
Oh, look at that drifting from Elvis Rankin. Fantastic stuff. Of course, all the Miatas, you're just balancing it on the throttle, skidding around on the very limit of grip that these cars have, and it's just so spectacular. Kind of like old classic racing cars, actually. Really special indeed. But my goodness me, that week off for some real world racing, Austin, is well, it's certainly working for Elvis Rankin because he is off at the front.
Yeah, Ellis pulling away up front. It's a Ryan 1, 2, 3, and you know how we were saying last time we were watching these guys pull off from 1, 2, 3. They're just buying up every good driver in the field. Well, they're certainly getting the money's worth today. Kind of like BMW was in the 8 hours of Indianapolis this weekend.
Indeed, yes. If you've got the numbers, it makes a big difference. So Ryan, the Penske of the Ricmotech paddock at the moment, who's so dominant, they've obviously signed up Elvis Rankin. They've got Mike Dam on board as well. That was a mid-season switch, so brilliant to see. Now, what is also brilliant to see, this, I tell you what, Cameron Martineau, the last couple of rounds, Austin, across a variety of very different machines. You know, a Ferrari GT3 car is about as far away from one of these Mustangs as you can get in terms of sophistication, but tell you what, it doesn't matter what it is, Cameron is just on a rich vein of form right now, and he's putting a lot of pressure on, you know, the 7 times in a row reigning champion in this class.
Yeah, it goes from high technology Italian engineering to good old raw American muscle, big, heavy, will rip your eyeballs out if you look at it wrong.
Yeah, it will. It's a mean-looking car, isn't it? It's wonderful. But yeah, sorry, I made a mistake at the beginning of the race. 3,600 pounds these weigh, or 1,632 kilograms, so they are heavy for a race car. About 325 horsepower from their 4.6 litre V8. Now, interesting there, we rode on board briefly with Cameron Martineau. He was making sure he lifted off nice and early to get on the brake nice and gently. And if he can keep this pace with Aeronom in the draft there for a number of laps, this could, well, we saw Cameron Martineau, he could make a bit of a jump in pit lane because, of course, our drivers have to come in for one compulsory pit stop, and the lowest amount of fuel they can use, the quicker they can be on pit lane.
Yeah, and when they get to those lapped cars, that's when it's going to get extremely interesting with these two guys up front. And I believe that's what Cameron is looking forward to, looking to make that pick first, and then try to stay with Aeronom or try to get ahead with Aeronom and be ahead of a mistake. And speaking of mistake, we got a MX-5 turned around in the chicane as these guys are coming up here right now.
So the 17 of Duncan, the green and orange machine, running the colours, the renowned colours. Oh, big old punt there. Oh, wow. Oh, lands on its wheels though, which is always good.
I'll give him a 6 on the landing.
Yeah, nice. Great light. Stuck the landing well, and well, there's that injured Miata moving over to the side now. You'll see on the bottom of your screen race.
Oh, and here comes Cameron.
Oh, you called it, Austin. First sign of traffic. Wham! He's by. Look at this drag race down the San Posi straight onto the brakes. Cameron Martineau, can he seal the deal? Looks like he can. Will Aero have another look? No, he's got it. He's got it. And look who's come to the party. Number 32, championship leader, Kevin Ford.
Yeah, if he wants to stay in the lead, he needs to be finishing ahead of Aeronom right now just to stay up in there for another round. But seeing Aeronom drop down a position after that first sign of traffic makes
penalty
me
car 29.
a bit worried as we have a mess for
responsibility drive-through penalty 29 drive-through.
Drive-through penalty has been issued for Patrick Pervanis in that 29 car for instant responsibility. He's serving that right now. Aeronom's not going to have any opportunity to answer as Cameron Martin is flying away from him.
Yeah, it looks to me that Aeronom is just playing the long game here. It's an interesting strategy, to be honest, but I think he's just trying to keep that life in the tyre. Of course, 60 minutes around Lime Rock Park is a long way, and we saw at the Indianapolis Road Course a couple of drivers taking at least one side of tyres in the pit stop, which we don't normally see. And it might be that he's just keeping all his consumables in good condition, his tyres, and of course the fuel consumption as well. And maybe he felt that Cameron was maybe going to get a bit advantage by towing him around. Perhaps that's just one theory, but it'd be interesting to see if Cameron can lay down some quick laps and break away, because if you can break that tow, make a really big difference. You can also see on the top right hand side of your screen our SDK Gaming track map at the top of your screen, and you'll see where all the drivers are on the track. So you'll see the number 1, the orange number 1 at the just coming around turn 1 and 2 right now, then on the left hand side. That is the leader in the GS class, Cameron Martineau, and already, as you called, Austin, already starting to approach the back of the Miata field.
Yeah, I said lap 15 is going to be the big kahuna where everyone's mixed in with everything. And they're already closing in on 10th place right there. Probably by next lap they're going to get there. But let's stop looking at the front of our Mustang laps ahead over to our Miatas, where we got a nice battle for third place. Brendan Huron and Thorman going side by side. And oh, that's a very risky dive, but around the outside, the 60 of Chris Thorman held it right there above Brendan Huron, and wow.
That was a great move, and that's the type of racing you can get here with the Miatas. There's absolutely no aerodynamic, no downforce at all on these cars, and they just make for fantastic close racing. Brilliant stuff. As you see, Mike
no
Dam,
downforce, but a lot of drag.
Yes, kind of not. You want it the other way around, don't you? But The number 93, Mike Dam, he's dropped back to third spot from an earlier second spot. So I wonder what happened to Mike Dam along the way. But you can just about see at the bottom of the San Posey Straight, there's our leader, Elvis Rankin, piling into turn 1.
I think Mike Dam might have a bit of damage. Might have swatted one of those curbs a little bit too hard, and that will give you some damage. You won't see it struck, you won't see it visually, but it is going to be affecting him suspension-wise.
I see. Is that when you hear that horrible crunching noise, like you've just scraped an alloy wheel on the curb? It's
scraped an alloy wheel, and if you're in VR, you would probably give yourself a little bit of a visit to a hard rock heavy metal concert.
Ah, I see. So here he is, Jeff Jacobs, the Gator. Now look at this wonderful looking machine here. It's big wiggle there from Tony Kernan in the black bomber behind. But these guys just holding down just the fringes of the top 5 right now. But the leaders are right up ahead. They're not far away. Now
made the way past, and Kevin Martineau, he's made great work of these Miatas. He's pulled a 1.5 second gap to Aeronom and Kevin Ford right behind him.
Yeah, Aeronom just keeping very, very in control here. Interesting to see the strategy. He's definitely not deploying his complete pace yet. I'm certain of that. But Kevin Ford, he's taking that advantage. And of course, that gap in the traffic as they start to work their way through the bulk of the Miata field, that gap of about what's now 1.5 seconds, it's going to go back and forward like an accordion. Because of course, if you get caught behind the traffic at the wrong place in the Mustang, it's a really painful wait until you can get the move to move by. Mike Dam, rallycross Mike Dam.
Getting some air, and there's that damage. That front right is destroyed. It bumped up against the wheelhouse and just shoved that bodywork way up in there, and he's got a lot of damage on that Miata, and that thing's going to be handling a lot differently, especially with this track being consisted of mostly right-handed turns. The one left-handed turn here on this track is known as left turn.
Yes, the left hand, they need to maybe get some more imaginative names, but Big Bend is quite a good one. Yeah, and the left-hander, the right-hander, the no-name straight, the uphill, West Bend, and the downhill. Brilliant, I love it. Very nice and simple.
Uphill is now replaced by chicane.
The chicane, yes. Big look, oh my word. I think Tony Kernan was...
Tony, no, you don't!
Oh, don't poke the Gator.
Oh, the Gator has been spun out, and watch out on this track re-entry. There is one car coming on the way, but Jeff is certainly aware that has his F3 menu up. It gets back on track, but he's going to be coming back out with Briss with him, but I think he might...
he's on the move now.
He's on the move, and I think Race Control is going to have a party. Yes, they are.
Yeah, if you're new here to the Ricmotech paddock here on the iRacing Esports Network and Apex Racing TV, you will see that the race stewards, they have live human race stewards here in the Ricmotech paddock, and well, we've seen so many times, Austin, if there's any kind of nonsense, the stewards are straight onto it. A decision is made quickly and fairly, and action is taken, and because of that, in general, the driving conduct in this series is absolutely exemplary.
Yeah, these race stewards are known for being completely fair and going straight by the rule book and not taking no for an answer. But if there is a racing incident, they're racers too. They know what a racing incident is, so they do have some leeway. But that incident we saw with those Mustangs is pretty cut and dry, going to be a penalty.
Yes, I would agree with you, absolutely. That would be the right call in my opinion. So, Brennan Haran, well, he's really getting some pressure now, isn't he? He's trying to hold off, he's putting on the pressure, my apologies. Brennan Haran in the 45, goes to look up the inside. This is one of the best opportunities to make a move, but is the inside open? Just dancing on the edge of grip. So tricky through there, through Thorman just dancing on it. And of course that the grass on the outside of Big Bend, I swear there is a magnetic field in that grass, Austin, because it claims so many high profile victims.
It's claimed me
Ah!
multiple times as, oh my goodness.
That's scary.
Brennan Horn going down that little short no-name straight.
Penalty
The next thing you
cars,
know, hello
seven,
Mustang,
incident
popping up your inside, especially in that braking zone. It is
Driver.
pretty scary. And yep, car number 7 getting that drive-through penalty for that incident. And that's what you get when you try to wrestle a gator.
Yep. Don't mess with the gator. So, I feel that nickname's gonna stick, Austin. I think.
Well, if it
I
keeps
hope
running
he'll-
that paint scheme, it will.
Yeah, I hope he likes it. I'm sure he will. That's a pretty good, cool name to have, actually, the Gator.
Well, he's a big
so-
fan of the Florida Gators. That's why he's running it.
Is that right? Aha. Well, that makes.
Well, there is a
total sense.
Florida Gators logo on the car, so.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then. Of course, Florida Gators is a college team, isn't it?
It is.
Now, forgive me, I'm going to get pelters for this, but which sport is it?
Football, basketball.
I thought it was football.
It's the entire school. The mascot's name's the Gators.
So that applies to all the college sports then.
Yes, and
okay.
if you want to know something else, Florida, University of Florida is also where they made Gatorade, because it was made in Florida, and they called it Gatorade because they were giving it to their athletes for, performance.
High performance H2O. Yeah, that is. Well, I have to say in the media center at the Rolex 24-hour at Daytona this year, there was an unlimited free Gatorade fridge, and I sampled the whole range, and the red one, that was my favorite.
Oh, my favorite's the orange one.
Well, that's nice too. Yeah, that's a good call. The blue one, I quite like the blue one. The blue one's quite good.
I stay away from Smurf juice.
Smurf juice. Yeah, I did think. Well, I was like, well, this is an interesting color, but I thought, you know what, I can't be here for a 24-hour race and not try all the different flavors. Now look at this. This is this is funny. This is like flies gathered around a hippo.
Yeah, this is a little bit of highway traffic. Driver Cameron Martin, you get stuck behind lower cars, but you gotta have patience in here. And you just see on how he just maneuvered his way in between those two cars. Mike Dam right there and Jacob Beasley, and now he's right ahead of Jacob Beasley coming out of Big Bend. Oh, you got to be so nimble with there. And here comes Mike Dam getting a move down the straight as Aaron Nom gets them both down the straight using that Mustang power. And now Mike Dam looking to defend that third place from Jacob Beasley now. And we got multi-car action, defending and attacking at the same time, while we got these massive Pumpkin Detroit American Muscle moving through, and now Cameron Monty and Aaron Nom are right back to nose to tail of each other.
There you go, that's that accordion effect, and look at this, see? Straight away they came back together, but now Martineau's going to get a clean exit out of the chicane, and Aaron Nom, he's got to wait to get past Travis Schwenke, and that stretches it back open again. So this is the traffic gives, and it takes away. Now, of course, normally the pit stop strategy can really make a difference in terms of where you want to come out of pit lane and get yourself some clean air. But today, Austin, really there is no clean air at all. As you can see from the SDK track map, there is very, very little room out on circuit. So I guess it doesn't necessarily matter when you go in for your pit stop as far as traffic is concerned. But
actually, traffic will help you and hurt you in so many ways here. If you're looking at the track map, if you have a track map app, if you're running the SDK app like we are and you have it up on the live HUD, you can have that track map up while you're driving, and you can just pick out points. Okay, I got clean air in front of me. You can look at your relative 20 seconds of clean air. I'm staying out. But if you see a massive pack of cars that are really scrapping for it in front of you, you could, when that pit stop window opens, take that and just let the guy behind you get involved with that traffic, and they could be held up.
That's a very good point. Absolutely, that instinctive going. You know, when you know that you're going to pit at some point in a 5 or 10 lap period here at Lime Rock Park, but then you see, like you say, you see that big gaggle in front. You think, oh, I'll dive into pit lane. And of course, here at Lime Rock Park is probably the most tricky entrance to pit lane anywhere in the world. I think trying to get the car slowed down, and then it's like a proper chicane to get into pit lane. Of course, if anyone's ever seen the video of an iRacing member skidding an MX-5 backwards through the Lime Rock Park pit lane, it is magnificent to see. speaking of going into pit lane, let's talk about fuel windows, because the Miatas and the little Mazdas, their fuel window is just about to pop open. They can pit anywhere between lap 21 and lap 37 and get to the end of the race. For the Mustangs, their one will open in 1 lap's time from lap 20 and will go all the way to lap 40. Now, we're only expecting about 60 laps, so the potential for strategical plays in the Mustang GS class are, well, they're manifold.
Yeah, lap time here is 59 seconds, and Jeff Jacobs, not wasting any time through the Grand Prix chicanes, immediately flicking down on the inside of the 66. I believe that was Mike Taylor. He's currently sitting 12th, and the Gator Boy back up into 5th place. And somebody who's going to be benefiting from a lot of clean track ahead of him is going to be him, because if you look at that mini map, he's got about 2-3 laps of clean racing before he gets into that traffic. So if he goes into pits within 3 laps, he's going to be feeling pretty good about himself. But up at front, still look at Derek Holland sliding all the way over to the grass. And if I was Derek, I would have that smile on right now, because sliding a MX-5 around here is so enjoyable.
It's so pure, isn't it? That's what I love. I feel like it's a palate cleanser going to race the Miatas, because it's just pure, simple racing. There's no excuses. There's no technical setup, really. There's not an awful lot you can change on the cars. Tony Kernan gets very caught up there in traffic. But do you know what? Did the right thing there to not force the issue and have a crash. Just back out of it and fight another day, because traffic is going to be a constant issue for every single driver in the field today, and it's just about keeping the patience. We saw at the very, very highest level of sim racing on Saturday in the Petit Le Mans here on iRacing, there was, well, there wasn't an awful lot of patience going on in any of the 3 classes, Austin.
Yeah, they didn't really have live stewards to be sorting things out, so a lot of shouting was had over the radio, and I was expecting some cars just to start fighting each other in the text chat. It was pretty wild in Petit Le Mans, but here we got live stewards. All these guys know each other. They all race with each other. Pretty sure all these guys are friends, and I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't friends, because they all race each other very cleanly, and they all have respect towards each other. But yeah, that's what happens when you go from a league to a iRacing open lobby where everyone's from everywhere else and they're going for that top prize. All these guys, they're still racing for a top prize, but it's just a lot more community here.
Indeed, yes. It's if you like, it's suppose it's a little bit like if you're racing. If you think about the in the SCCA, you know, if you do your local club and you qualify, and it's quite nice, and you know who you're running against, and then you get to the runoffs, and then all of a sudden it's a lot less polite.
I can tell you from racing karting in Texas to going to the USA Cup, everyone there, we all race these ways. And I know if you talk to racers from international, they all have their own certain styles. Americans usually a bit aggressive, but Americans from different parts of the state are incredibly different. Texans, we live a little bit dangerously. People from Kansas, crazy. Florida, crazy. New York, very, very calm, actually. Drivers from New York.
Well, there you go. Well, hopefully we've not upset too many people there.
No. There's a thing called Florida Man for a reason.
So this is a great battle emerging here between Haran and this is Haran and Thorman battling away fiercely right now in their class. A little bit further up the road, you'll see. Now I'm wondering when Mike Dam's going to come into pit lane, because he's the 93 car. He is nursing quite a bit of damage there, as we can see on the front of his car. Interesting if he can afford to take the time in pit lane to grab a quick repair. I don't know quite how long that would take to get fixed while he takes his pit stop.
I would say about 12 seconds. That here is 1/6 of a lap here. What typical lap for an MX-5, about a minute. Typical lap for any car around here is about a minute, unless you're in an F3 car, then that's 50 seconds, because that's not crazy enough.
Yeah, if you can imagine the back in the late 2000s, the Porsche RS Spider LMP2 car winning here outright in the American Le Mans Series, beating the Audi LMP1 diesels, the big heavy V12 twin turbo juggernauts. I can't imagine what it was like hustling those big cars around here. Give me a Miata, I would say, or a Porsche RS Spider, which with its lightweight was just dominant.
Yeah, BOP back then would have been nuts.
There was none. There was none at that time.
That's why I said would have.
Yeah, it would have been. But interestingly, actually the racing was really, really good between two very different machines, between the RS Spider and the diesel Audis. So here he is then, the gainer, Jeff Jacobs in the 38 Mustang, and well, he's trying to say, he's followed by Clint Vigas, and he's trying to say, see you later, alligator, but no such luck just yet.
Yeah, Clint is all with him, and it's very hard to pull out a gap here at Lime Rock Park, because you got the straights, you got the high speed corners. You really have one major braking zone, and that's that chicane, and your entry to that chicane is going to decide if you have a good lap, if you have a bad lap, if you're going to be wrecked, or if you're going to end up on the roof. Those three incidents are usually the most common in that park. Jeff Jacobs coming up to some traffic, so he's got to be a little bit patient. This is going to be allowing Clint to just get right back up there. Jeff going back down to the inside, and oh my goodness, something just happened behind them.
I heard a crash in my headset. There's something going on there as well.
Ooh,
now, how cool is that?
dangerous.
Whoa, that was... And look at the back of that car. It says Detroit hustles harder. Well, it certainly was. Now we're looking at Jordy Fike in the 09. What's going to happen here? What? Well, we know what will be the result of that one, Austin.
Well, he let him stay ahead, so that might just been a racing incident. Probably no penalty. If he passed him, then it would have been a penalty. But
Yes.
since he gave the position back, it was just a tap in the braking zone. He's let him back. I believe he said sorry. Yep, there it is. Avoidable contact warning, racing incident. No need for it because he did give that position back. Want to thank everybody for watching on the iRacing Esports Network and Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Classic Sprint Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. We're here at Lime Rock Park, 27 laps down, and about to close in on the final half hour here. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to Lime Rock Park for what has been a very intriguing race here in the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Classic Sprint Series, and Cameron Martineau putting in, well, now a 2.3 second advantage to Aeronom. This has been an amazing battle between these two guys as they've been working their way through the fields, which is now a constant battle basically with this multi-class system. And Austin, just in the break there, I was just checking the YouTube comments. We have a viewer from the Bermuda Islands tonight. So Norman Robinson, so a big hello to Norman, and there is a connection with the Bermuda Islands and a very famous Scottish Formula One champion. In his latter years of his life, Jim Clark was actually a resident of Bermuda.
Yeah, Bermuda. I've always wanted to visit there, but I've been spooked out by the whole Bermuda Triangle thing. But I'm not.
You just don't like wearing shorts.
Yes, I'm not a big fan. How did you know that?
I don't know. I just took a guess.
Yeah, I
don't like wearing them either.
Okay, I thought it was just weird because I don't like showing my leg hair, but yeah.
Me too. It's I'm like the. If you've ever seen The Simpsons, Groundskeeper Willie, yeah, something like that. That's me. So we've seen a few drivers come into pit lane as they were right in the middle of the fuel window right now for both classes. Oh,
Mike,
go on.
damn,
What have you spotted?
He did take some repair off that front nose of his. They're not fully repaired. There is still a little bit of a dent right there.
Well spotted. Well spotted. So let's see. Yeah, we're still the top guys in GS. The top 5 haven't come into pit lane yet. So just need to see when they come in. They're of course their window is a little bit wider. They've got another 9 laps of fuel potentially in those cars.
Yeah, Mike Taylor has moved up to 4th place, and pit stops is going to be very, very interesting as Mike Taylor is looking to make up another spot right now as Edgar Santinelli's in the pit lane, and he's got a lot of clean air in front of him, but he's got to look behind him because you see that big hulking Mustang coming up on you. And I'm going to say at the end of this lap, we're going to see Mike go into the pit lane.
Yeah, if you think you're being held up and you need to get that pit stop done, you just get that done. It's a little bit like if you hit a traffic jam when you're on the highway and there's a Starbucks or what have you. You just go in and get a coffee, and that'll help me get through this traffic jam. Kind of same idea. Just instead of coffee, it's just high octane race fuel. So we see the number 71 Mustang with, I love the message on the back of this car, Detroit hustles harder. It really does, because you think about that town, the some of the motor vehicles that they have made over the years, incredibly special and a big part of, well, I mean, for us, obviously I live here in the UK, Detroit has given us, when we think of American cars, we think of Corvettes, Mustangs, all these kinds of things, Ford GTs, and they all came from Detroit, of course.
Yeah, Detroit, Motor City, USA, as Cameron Martin is watching the scrap right here in front of him, and that was a 60 of Chris Norman and Brandon Horn getting into each other, a little bit of a tap into the chicane right there. These two getting very scrappy through that corner. Brandon Horn almost getting into the side of the 31 of Cameron Martineau. This just shows you the speed through the corner that these Miatas have as Aeronom enters the pit lane.
So the gap there was about 4 seconds at the very most. So let's see why it comes out after this. Has Aeronom been playing a strategy game? Has he just been keeping his powder dry? We're right on half distance right now, or just a minute over half distance. So let's see if Aero takes tyres. I doubt he will. So if the jacks go up, we know he's taking tyres. If they do not, he's just taking fuel. Yeah, I mean, at Lime Rock Park, surely the left-hand side of the tyres are just going to get absolutely destroyed, but no tyres. Now, of course, these cars, they are taking tyres on them is very, very slow because they jack up each side, and it is quite a slow process. But so no tyres. So I wonder if that strategy game for Aeronom, has he been keeping life in the tyres and has he been saving fuel? Now, interesting, Cameron Martineau comes straight in to cover off that strategical play.
I don't know about that because look at the map. Cameron had a lot of room ahead of him. He could have kept on going for another lap, and looking where Aeronom is right now, he's in a bit of traffic.
Well, so some of the drivers will be working with a spotter who will be keeping a keen eye on the track while the driver worries about...
Oh, Cameron's taking tires!
Oh, this is an interesting one.
That was the left side.
That's the left side. That's what he would
Yes,
need. Yes,
that is
that's
the
right.
left side. I'm
Yes.
getting confused on which side of tires are actually needed. I know which direction is up, I swear. But that longer stop is going to allow Cameron Martinell and Aeronom to exit side by side, and Cameron Martinell has jumped Aeronom for second place.
Now that is fascinating. So not only we saw Aeronom play the strategy game last time at Indianapolis, and it didn't quite work out from my memory.
Yep, same thing. He decided to pit early, did not take tires. Cars in front of him pitted later, took tires, and flew away from him.
Yep, and right now he's Aeronom is in a world of pain, because not only has Cameron Martineau got the track position, he's also got 2 fresh boots on that left side, and of course this car is a heavy car, 3,600 pounds or 1,600 kilograms in UK money, and well, that is a lot of pressure to put through those tyres, and of course you're just leaning on the left hand side all the time. There's no rest at all. Interesting to wonder what the track temperature is, but kind of regardless, this is Martineau, and it's now his race to lose as the Gator comes in, Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah, Jeff picking a nice time to go to the pit lane. He saw some traffic up there, and he's reaching the end of his fuel life. So these guys reaching the ends of their fuel tank allowment for getting back there on track. So we're looking at our battle for second in class between Brendan Haran and Jordan Feike. And both these guys, they're actually in 2 different classes separately, but they both race in the Miata overall race as well.
They do indeed. The cars are identical, but they're split up into Pro and Open based upon their ability. So 36 laps down, 35 minutes complete, where this is a timed race of 60 minutes. So really coming into the business end of this race now. And here at Lime Rock Park, you get no rest at all, which, I mean, Austin, tell me about it. When you've been racing in the past, both in the sim and the real world, did you prefer, in terms of keeping your mental concentration, do you prefer circuits where you can get a little bit of a rest along the long straights, or do you just like to have the corners coming thick and fast so you don't let your mind wander? How do you approach it?
Well, when I race in circuits, I kind of like to have something that I can a little bit of refresh, relay a little bit of stuff. But before I was racing in USF 2000, when I raced in Baja, I had no chance to relax in Baja racing, and there was a reason why I only did about 3 years in there, and I just preferred circuit racing until I had my incident at Mid-Ohio.
I see, yeah, of course, Baja is, I cannot imagine what that is like. Shake your teeth out.
Think of driving a Mustang around the Nürburgring, and you've never driven the Nürburgring before, and then driving a brand new Nürburgring every lap.
Yeah, that sounds scary. That sounds very scary indeed.
And then add dust.
Oh yes, we forgot about the dust. Of course. Did you ever have to do any roadside repair? Did you ever have to stop to fix anything?
Surprisingly, no. I've won one race in my Baja career because everybody else didn't finish.
That's the name of the game.
Yes.
Long distance off road, get it to the finish, and you never know. So there you go then.
I managed to make it to a pit stop with a flat tire, so I didn't have to change it. My crew did.
That's always good as well. I'm a big fan of the World Rally Championship, and they were recently in Turkey, which is notoriously the toughest rally on the calendar right now, kind of like the old Acropolis rally, and they were a lot of the drivers having to do a lot of repair work in the road sections in between the stages, and sometimes in the stage with punctures. So it was certainly a rally of attrition as well. But I tell you what, Austin, I mean, we mentioned it a few times before the beginning of the race. Cameron Martineau, he is just on a tear right now. He's really seemed to have just stepped up another level entirely just over the last couple of weeks. He just seems to be in his groove.
Yeah, nothing's really putting him down a peg, but somebody who might be putting him down a peg is Kevin Ford, your overall leader right now. He still is not coming to the pits. He just loves his car. Your championship leader staying near that championship lead, and I think for that overall win with this strategy.
Well, this is going to be interesting to see because, of course, being a very heavy car, it will use a lot of fuel. So each lap is going to use quite a lot of fuel because it's obviously not the most efficient thing in the world. But being a heavy car, the fuel coming off isn't going to make as much of a difference because, of course, it's less percentage of the overall weight of the vehicle as it goes by. So, but we are coming right to the end of what we expect the Mustang kind of pit window to be, as yep, there it goes, right on cue. So Kevin Ford has run that tank as dry as he can go. Now what I'm going to be interested to see here, Austin, is if he takes these tyres, because we saw Cameron Martineau not take them and it's worked, and Aeronom has.
Cameron took them. Aeronom didn't take them.
Sorry, my other way around. Well, thank you for correcting me. That's absolutely correct. Sorry, my apologies. So Cameron Martineau not only got to change the tyres, but got the track position back. So there goes Cameron. So
yeah,
he's
Cameron's going to be on tear, and there's Ford being passed by Aeronom right there. So he drops back down into third place, and that promotes Aeronom into the lead of the Mustang Championship.
He certainly was quite a far. He was about 10 seconds off the back of Aeronom before Aeronom pitted. So yeah, we'll see how that one plays out. But I would suspect that Kevin will be settling for third. But I tell you what, Kevin Ford, he's going to be buying Cameron Martineau a beer tonight because it looked like Aeronom was going to maybe run away with the race tonight, but that is not how it's appeared. And for Kevin, who's in a championship battle, he's on 185 points. Aeronom is on 184. So to just get Cameron to just take those couple of points away, really, really crucial for the race to the end of the season.
Yeah, Cameron putting in a lot of good work to defend from Aeronom. And like we said, Aeronom has been dominating with this series for the last 7 times it's ran. And, well, we always like to see some change here in motorsports.
Yep, absolutely. There's definitely something in the wind. I want to have something of what Cameron Martineau's having for breakfast over the last couple of weeks. He's maybe changed to a different cereal or a different blend of coffee, maybe. As we see, penalty. Car 29.
Patrick Provanis again, and this is the second penalty of the race.
Oh dear. Well, that's interesting. That's not often do we see a driver get 2 drive-through penalties.
Actually, there was no need for him to get that penalty because he's actually out of the grid right now.
Ah, okay. So he's decided to run away before the headmaster catches him. Or the principal,
Tony's getting loose.
Tony Kernan, well, he's looked loose quite a few times when we've caught him on camera, Austin. He's getting really loose in that Mustang. Now, that car is not one I've got much experience with at all. Is there a great deal that you can change on the setup with this car?
You can mess with the setup, the springs, but the weight transfer, you're transferring 3,000 pounds from one side of the car to the other side of the car. It's going to be difficult no matter what. You got the best suspension in the world, you're still going to struggle with it a bit.
Absolutely. And interestingly, although it's got a lot of power, it's got a big hunky 4.6 litre V8 engine. It actually has less power to weight than the Miata. So the Miata is only pushing 180 horsepower, but of course because it's so light, it's actually got slight power to weight by 3 horsepower. But in the straight line, well, the Mustang just gallops away, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing in karts, where you have these crazy lightweight karts that only make a measly 40 horsepower from a moped, and these things go screaming across the track at speeds, producing forces that will snap your neck, and those things will beat you up if you aren't used to them.
They definitely will, for sure. You need a good, comfortable seat to stop too much bruising. Well,
and good neck.
Absolutely, and a rugby player's neck always helps. So Elvis Rankin, well, what can we say about this young man? He has been absolutely, well, we see him every week here in the Ricmotech paddock. He runs
except for last week.
Except for last week, of course. I was coming to that. Yes, we see him race very, very strongly in the Ferrari, in the GT3 class, in the GT Challenge series, and also in the sports car series in the Porsche Cayman, and here in the Miata as well. Not often do you see someone break away, and the class of field that we have in the Miatas in the Pro class, you don't see breakaways very often, and that's exactly what this young man is doing. And just so confident. As we see his car going off in the background there.
That was Mike Taylor.
Suffering to the magnetic field that is the grass off the outside of Big Bend.
Yeah, turn 1, you just get that wrong, your wheel go off. So we got Travis Schwenke. If we just separate the two dots, Elvis Rankin is coming through the chicane right now. Mike Taylor, Travis Schwenke is just now heading into the chicane, about 12 seconds behind of Elvis Rankin, who is just gone right now. And Elvis Rankin's going so fast, he's actually in 8th place overall.
Wow, that is impressive for the young man. I run out of superlatives for him. He's, and of course, always keen to come in and chat to us after the race, and has always got lots to say. And I was up at my local track, Knockhill, here in Scotland at the weekend, Austin, commentating on some motorcycle racing, and there's a lot of the kids who are about Elvis's age are racing the 125cc Aprilias, and when I speak to them in the post-race interviews, it's funny, I wonder if they're trying to keep their secrets. They don't give much away in the post-race interviews, but Elvis is very generous with the insight that he gives us after the races.
Yeah, that's the difference between European drivers and Americans. They know that they have a lot on their shoulders. They know that the world of racing is cutthroat, and they try to keep to themselves, be as prompt as possible and everything. And here in America, we're just like, oh yeah, we got a good lot of stuff in the car. We ran this new setup that was just right about here, and yeah, we don't like any secrets. We're the best driver on track. Heck yeah. I knew a guy talked like that exactly in the karting championship I used to run in.
Yeah,
he was a pain, I can tell you that, because he was.
Now, is that because he was getting the post-race, which means you're on the podium?
No, I could just hear him.
Oh, I see. I see. So, well, I'm sure we will hear from young Elvis after the race, who's holding a commanding lead at the front of the Miata pack right now. And actually, he kind of has quite well at the moment. Yeah, he's John Allen leads the championship on 197 points, with Mike Dam on 191. Elvis is on 189. Now, it might be that Elvis actually leapfrogs to the front of the championship. We'll need to see how the points shake out after this one.
A high chance that Elvis will be. We will be having new leaders on both championships today. Don't know about the open class though. Yeah,
it's hard to tell right now. I'm sure there is plenty time left to go, or there's plenty of racing still to go, I should say. But yeah, Mike Dam at the moment, just looking at the timing screen, he is 4th in class now, so he will lose quite a bit. And John Allen, well, no sign at all in the point scoring position. So yeah, Mike Dam and Elvis Rankin are going to get quite a jump after this one.
Indeed they are. And well, the action here is not car-to-car action. That usually happens within the first 10 laps, and then things start calming down. Mike Dam getting a little bit heart-in-mouth moment right there as he almost he goes head-to-head with a guardrail to visit the grass just a little bit. Got the car back on track. That will be hurting his pace. But racing here is all about traffic management, and that is definitely what these guys up front have done.
Yeah, they absolutely have, for certain. And Cameron Martineau, well, got a 7.5 second lead over Aero Nom, and Aero now, well, these last 13 minutes are going to be painful for him. He probably had, yeah, I have to say, I thought he had the pace to lead, but